The news came like a thunderclap over Buckingham Palace. King Charles #S3 had died suddenly, alone in his private chambers at Sandringham. The announcement, though brief, was unsettling. The cause of death was listed as natural, but no specifics were given. No final speech. No video message. No warning. One moment the monarchy stood strong, and in next, the throne was empty. But behind the black draped curtains and carefully crafted condolences, something darker was already taking shape. For Meghan Markle, once cast as the outsider, the villain, the disruptor, the king's death was not just a personal loss, it was an opportunity. A vacuum of power had just opened at the heart of the British monarchy. And in that space, wisps began to swirl, of influence, of ambition, and of a secret plan years in the making. Just hours after the king's passing, Meghan and Prince Harry landed in London. Officially, they had come to mourn. But insiders noticed the shift immediately. Meghan was no longer moving in her #RS shadow. She took the lead. She made the calls. She held private meetings not just with lawyers, but with several media advisors and a few members of parliament known for their modernist leanings. At the same time, Prince William, the heir presumptive, found himself blindsided. Documents relating to the succession were suddenly under legal review. Rumors spread that Charles, in his final weeks, had made amendments to his will, some say under pressure. Some say under Meghan's influence. One particular rumor chilled the palace to its core. That Charles, deeply affected by mounting tensions within the family, had secretly drafted a clause that would give Harry and Meghan expanded rights within the royal foundation, financial control, veto power, even #easy roles in matters of succession. That document, if real, had not yet surfaced. But Meghan's confidence suggested she believed in its power, or had something more powerful hidden up her sleeve. As the royal family scrambled to maintain tradition and dignity in a time of loss, Meghan quietly built her own coalition. She met privately with young royal staff, invited influencers and editors to off-the-record, conversati #ONS, and began shaping a new public narrative, one in which the monarchy needed modern reform, and she was ready to lead that change. Even more shocking, some insiders claim that Meghan floated the idea of a constitutional realignment, wherein the monarchy's structure would evolve to include global representatives, opening the door for a transatlantic royal model centered around her and Harry. A monarch, behind closed doors, William was furious. A family already fractured now faced internal war. The funeral was no longer a farewell, it was a every glance, every seating arrangement, every flower placement was read like a signal. William walked stiffly behind his father's casket. Meghan, dressed in flawless black, walked beside Harry with her chin lifted, not in mourning, but in quiet defiance. As the days passed, the palace rid to restore order, but the narrative had already shifted. For the first time, public opinion was divided, not between royalists and republicans, but between those who believed in William's tradition, and those curious about Meghan's disruption. Amid the whispers and the tension, one question began to rise, eluder and more dangerous than any before. Did King Charles really die of natural causes? Or was the throne taken before it was ready to be passed? No investigation was launched. No inquiry was made. And yet, those closest to the king say he had been in perfect health, just eyes before. That he had been preparing a speech. That he had mentioned feeling watched. Now, that speech will never be heard. And in its silence, Meghan moves forward. A new era has begun, not with a co-Ronation, but with a quiet, calculated shift in power.